everybody, we're back! A Dinosaur's Tale. Remember that movie from the 90s with John Goodman and Yeardley Smith was in there too, who played Lisa Simpson? Yeah, that was a good movie. I like that one. It's also applicable to Wano in this instance because there just happens to be a lot of dinosaurs stomping around. Alright, I know about you, but this past 2-week break for the chapter, it just seemed to be way longer than the others. I know 2020 hasn't really been good in, like, any capacity. We've had a lot of breaks in the manga schedule, but I don't know, for whatever reason, these last 2 weeks just felt like they were dragging until we finally get to this today. One Piece chapter 986 review titled My Name. Does Oda deliver? Oh, he delivers. He comes to your house, personally knocks on your door, gives you the package, gives you a hug, and then pets your dog and then leaves. That's how he delivers this time. And then you go out to drink with him at the bar. Yeah. Alright, so we start off with the cover page. We're continuing that. And unfortunately, it doesn't really have the happy ending that I originally assumed. I thought Beiji's All My Family was right about over. Lola and Chiffon have reunited with their pappy. Pound, he was there. And he's like, I'm your dad! And they were gonna embrace and, like, I don't know, it was gonna end in like a 1980s sitcom, you know, standing tall, like, we got our dad back. And then maybe the last chapter of the cover series was going to be Lola and Gaudi's wedding, and, you know, Pound was gonna walk his daughter down the aisle. Like, that would have been nice. No, Oda flips this 180. It's just, it cuts to Beiji's fire tank crew with Chiffon and Lola on board, just making it out of Dressrosa as fast as humanly possible. And the caption is, run away from the Marines! Also the weird guy that claims to be our dad! Let's just get out of this island, this is a weird place. And Pound is on the shore like, wait, don't go! You know, okay, I'll be straight up. Originally, when I first saw this, I was kind of pissed. I was, because I was like, come on, Pound, like, you should have more than enough information to explain to Chiffon and Lola that you are actually their father, right? Like, he can explain, because Lola and Chiffon, they both grew up in Totland. Lola left a few years ago, but, you know, they both grew up in that environment, so they should know full well how this process works. How it works is that for, you know, every year, for a good chunk of years, Big Mom gave birth to a new child, sometimes multiple children in one birth. I believe she stopped giving birth when she was 60. Anana, I think, is the last child she gave birth to. It's like 8 years ago or something like that. But Lola and Chiffon are both in their 20s, okay? So basically what happens is Big Mom will go out, find a man, usually like a king or some nobleman or some really strong warrior, bring them back to Totland, get quote-unquote married for the moment. And it's sort of like in Rising of the Shield Hero where the queen has all the power rather than the king, in a sense. So for the period while Big Mom is pregnant and all that, I guess there is a king of Totland technically, and the king is treated very well. But the second the children are born and everything's confirmed to be okay, like, there might always be a problem with the pregnancy, you don't know. And so it's probably best to keep the king around for a little while, to keep the guy around, kind of like a male drone for like a bee, you know? But if the children are born and they're healthy, then Big Mom will just be like, okay, away with you, and then, like, exile you and banish you from the island. And so this is what happened with Pound, except Pound didn't leave. He just decided to wander into the seducing woods and bury himself up to his head like a freaking carrot or something, and I guess nobody cared about him, right? Like no one bothered enough to, like, you know, like, enforce him to be exiled because just nobody cared. So my point is, like, Pound should be able to explain, like, this is how I met your mom, and you guys were born and you were adorable, but then Big Mom shoved me off because, like, that's how Totland works. And Lola and Chiffon should be like, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, that's what she does. But then I started to think, like, well, they are being currently chased after by the Marines, so it's not like Pound really had the time to, like, sit down with Lola and Chiffon and, like, explain the whole situation, okay? If anything, it's probably gonna be something similar to what happened with me when I was in high school trying to talk to a girl. Basically meaning that in Pound's case, he was like, alright, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to say to Lola and Chiffon when I finally see them. And then he finally actually sees them and the heat's on. He's like, oh, Lola, Chiffon, I am I'm your dad! When I was talking to girls in school, I didn't go up to them and claim I was their dad, but I had about a general amount of mumbling and not really getting my point across, so, you know, like, you can imagine Pound, like, seeing Lola and Siobhan. He didn't expect them to be there right now, and he's just like, well, I'm your dad! I'm your dad, I love you! And be like, okay, yeah, that's great, we're out of here, so... I hope there's a happy ending here. Like, I don't know, Pound jumps in the water, like, I won't let you escape me again! I'm like, rephrase what you're saying, dude, please! But yeah, I mean, we're not done yet. This isn't the end of the cover series, so we'll see what happens next, and we'll see where this rolls. But now we're cutting to the main part of the story, where we have the back end of Onigashima of Muffin Mountain. Last time we had the Scabbards minus Denjiro and Kinemon facing off against Kanjuro. Kanjuro knew that they were going to be coming, and they were probably going to attack the rear entrance, because that's the easiest way to gain access to Kaido and Orochi. So Kanjuro goes out there with his mighty paintbrush, and he paints some headless samurai on horses to kind of basically just make fun of the Scabbards, like, this is your fate. And he also brought some gifters with him and stuff, like, oh, we're gonna rough up the Scabbards. And we saw Kiku and Kanjuro clash last chapter. Something I didn't bring up in the last review, at the very end of it, we also got to see a scene with Kiku crying, and also got to see some blood on a sword. Now, I just assumed in the last chapter, I didn't bring it up because I just assumed that was Kiku cutting down Kanjuro. There were a few people that were like, well, maybe it you know, denotes something else, like that's not actually Kiku's blade, that's somebody else's blade, there's something else going on. But no, that turns out to be the situation. And so Kiku slices down Kanjuro, and the reason she's crying is the same reason all the other Scabbards are kind of, you know, weepy as well. Raizo is bawling his eyes out. Kinemon and Denjiro finally arrive. So basically the plan was, you know, here's the, you know, front of Muffin Mountain, let's split our forces, send some of our forces into the middle of the mountain, to the middle of the banquet hall, that's where like Hyo is right now, and then continue the raid to the very back end. So effectively speaking, I'm just gonna say right now, the Samurai Rebellion force has pretty much taken over all of Wano, at least, I mean not of Wano, of Onigashima, at least the perimeter of the island should at least be secured, because the front of the island has been taken care of, and then the sides, and then they made it all the way to the back. And this chapter opens up with the samurai cheering on Denjiro and Kinemon. Their forces have finally, the southern and eastern forces, finally met at the end, and so Denjiro and Kinemon begin ascending the staircase, trying to rendezvous with the other Scabbards where they fought Kanjuro last chapter, okay? So, there's a lot of other samurai that are probably going to keep a perimeter around Onigashima, but basically they have Muffin Mountain surrounded, is what I'm getting across here, and they've also infiltrated the banquet hall as well. So, pretty good plan. This part of the plan seemed to have been going pretty good. A few hiccups along the way, but like with Big Mom and everything, but aside from that, I think everything seemed to work out okay. So Denjiro and Kinemon, they arrive, and the battle's already over. The Scabbards are there, the gifters, they're all defeated, the drawings are all dispersed, they've all been splattered into ink, and then you see Kanjuro lying in the snow, bleeding out from his mouth. And Kiku's there crying, Raizo is crying, because they're remembering the moments when they were like a family with Oden. Yeah, Kanjuro was a traitor this whole time, but they still had happy memories with the guy. That's what makes this so tragic, that Kanjuro was such a good actor, he genuinely felt like a family, and he could still flip that switch at any moment and be like, I love you guys, you're great. Think of all the gifts they shared and everything, and the laughter and the merriment. They probably played Scrabble together, for God's sake. You know, and I mean, I just can't take all this tragedy today. You know, Wilford Brimley died this morning, okay? And now we got this chapter, we got this level of tragedy, we got Pound being separated from his freaking kids, and then you got this scene here where we're remembering all the Scabbards hanging out, and they're like, hey, Oden, we don't have any money for dinner. I was like, well, I guess we're gonna have to go out begging. And you see a very cutesy scene there when Kawamatsu and Kiku and Inuarashi, they were all younger, and Kawamatsu steals Kanjuro's brush, and they're like fake sword fighting, and Oden's there, and he's just having a good time. It's like, oh, this is so lovely. Raizo's in the background being a little kid ninja. You know, like that was their childhood, or that was their teenage years, that was the halcyon days, so to speak, you know, and they're remembering all that, and some of them cry, like Kiku and Raizo. Some of them, like Kinemon and Denjiro, they're a little bit more steadfast here. It's an emotional scene, though, because Kinemon and Denjiro, they don't really reference Kanjuro at all. They don't look on the ground. They like Kinemon doesn't bend down to Kanjuro and be like, You betrayed us. They don't even acknowledge his existence other than one scene that I think is very powerful, and that's all it speaks to it. So Kinemon, when he's walking up, he's wearing his casa, the straw hat for Wano, and he's walking up, and he sees Kanjuro, blood splattered all over the snow. He's unconscious, maybe dead. I'm going to assume he's not dead, but he's not looking too good. He's defeated. And Kinemon just walks over to him and just takes a glance and remembers the scene with Oden and everything when they were, younger, and he's just like... And he just drops the hat on top of Kanjuro's body. The same, very similar scene to when in Totland, after Katakuri was defeated, Luffy took off the hat and covered up, Katakuri's mouth and walked away. Kind of just a sign of respect. I don't want to say respect in this instance. It's just more, I think of it of more of just like, this is for all the memories that we share. Because we have a lot more positive memories of you than negative ones, although granted, the negative memories that you started in the last couple of hours are definitely going to cover up the good ones, but we did have a lot of good memories together with Oden, so here you go. There's to the memories. And then he just walks away, and then that's it. They see Izo, so Izo's there, and then, Kinemon and Denjiro, they're like, oh, sweet, Izo! And Kinemon and Izo, they're like, yeah! Brothers back again, And Izo has a line that I think is also very powerful, like, I've missed too many occasions for a meaningful death. Because you figure in Izo's case, working on Whitebeard's crew for so long, I imagine a lot of the other commanders, they probably feel a little bit of regret about surviving Marineford when Whitebeard and Ace ended up dying. So, I'm sure Izo, a lot of the other commanders would be like, man, I wish we could have died at Marineford, like Pops. We would have all died right there. I mean, you don't want to die, but at the same time, it's just like, that would have been a moment for like a glorious death, laying down your life, trying to defend your family, Whitebeard trying to get back Ace. And then there was the Payback War, which is another opportunity I'm sure Izo was referencing. That's where Izo most likely got the scar above his eye. The Payback War, where Marco rallies the crew together, like, all right, we're gonna go defeat Blackbeard for what he did to Pops! Rally! And then they get ready for the battle, and they attack, and we still don't know everything about the Payback War, but they ended up losing, and so Izo probably had to end up retreating again, and he's just like, man, this is the second time now, and now here we are in Wano, and Izo is dedicated. Izo's like, you know what? I can imagine from his perspective, it's like, we win this, or I literally die trying to win this. Even if it's looking like we're not gonna win or anything like that, I'm gonna lay down my life here, okay? Because I've given up too many opportunities for a glorious and meaningful death. This is the moment, right here. Maybe Izo could justify it with like, fate has something in store for me. I wasn't supposed to die at Marineford. I wasn't supposed to die at the Payback War. This is the moment why I'm still alive today. The reason I'm still breathing is because of this moment to help out my sworn brothers, the Scabbards of Odin. Let's do this. Okay, so that's a really impactful moment there where they're getting ready, and they head inside. They head inside of the back entrance of Onigashima, of Kaido's manor, and we have one more final scene of Kanjuro there lying in the snow. Once again, I don't think he's dead, but if he does regain consciousness, what's going to be the situation? Is he going to regain consciousness and remember the good times and be like, maybe I should try to redeem myself in some way. Maybe I should try to fight with them. Or is he just going to wake up and just go back to his own nefarious schemes again? Because Orochi's dead. I don't think Kanjuro knows that, because Kanjuro already, by the time Kaido was like slicing his head off, at that point, Kanjuro might have already been cut down by Kiku. So, yeah, I don't know he knows that, but who knows? We'll see where this goes, or Kanjuro might just be straight up dead for all we know. I mean, traitor's death, I suppose. Alright, so now we cut back to the middle of the hallway, the big exhibition hall, the Golden Kagura. Minor correction. Last time I thought Luffy and Yamato arrived like in the middle of the hall, like they landed right in the middle of the crowd and they were storming the stage. No, that was just an area where Kaido was broadcasting over the Smails, the Den Den Mushi, but they are heading directly toward the stage. They're a little bit further away than I thought, but they're still making a beeline directly for the main stage. Okay, so that's happening now. Kaido's up there on stage, and we resume with what he said last chapter with like, alright, Orochi's dead. Samurai of Wano, you got 5 seconds. Join me or die. And he even adds this nice little scene here. I like Kaido in this instance. He's like, I'm aware. Hold on, let me get a samurai sword for this. He's just like, I'm aware that you samurai are mighty, honorable fighters. You are worthy men. I understand that. So if you choose to lay your life down here, if you choose, because you swore allegiance to Orochi, your shogun, if you choose to lay your alliances with him and not follow me and come and fight me, then I will respect that and I will fight you, and you'll have kind of my respect there. So I like that, because Kaido is like, he understands the nature of Wano. He's lived here for like 25 years. However, I think Kaido says that sort of knowing that nobody liked Orochi, because we got Fukurokuju in the crowd, the leader of the Oniwabanshu, and Hote being the leader of the Mimawari Gumi. We never got his name. He's the leader of that, the samurai that we usually see at the head of the Mimawari Gumi. We assumed he was the leader, but we weren't sure. But his name is Hote, and so they're both like, yeah, no, we pledge allegiance to the Dragon Duck of the United States of Wano, you know, like, they just lay it down right there. Like, he's like, I can imagine Kaido being like, all right, samurai, you gonna join me or die? You got 5 seconds. 5. No, it's cool. We pledge allegiance to you, man. It's awesome, you know? And we also find out here, interestingly enough, we knew up until this point, Orochi had 10,000 men, roughly, working under him, but we actually get the split here. No, it was 5,000 of the Oniwabanshu and 5,000 of the Mimawari Gumi, so that 5,000 samurai, 5,000 ninja. And that's surprising for the ninja, because we knew that the Oniwabanshu that Fukurokuju led, you know, we got like Fujin and Raijin and Hanzo, like that group that attacked the banquet hall that were trying to attack, you know, Shinobu and Nami up in the rafters, and also Brook was there and they were being chased around by, ooh, I'm a spooky ghost, you know? Like, I just assumed that was the group. That was the whole group right there. But no, there are ninja under them. I'm guessing that the Oniwabanshu we saw there, they were like the commanding officers of the ninja. And each one of them might have their own ninja unit, so to speak. Now, the ninjas working under them, they're probably, you know, they're skilled in ninjutsu and stuff, but not as skilled as the Oniwabanshu and like Fukurokuju himself. And the Mimawari Gumi, he just, you know, they're all of the samurai forces in Wano, essentially. Once again, the ones that we've seen so far, like Hote, the guy with the hair and the glasses. There's also that big dude that's got like the freckles all over his body. You know, all those guys, they're like the commanders of every single samurai, but not every single solitary samurai of the Mimawari Gumi is going to be a huge threat. So, still though, that's where the 10,000 forces reside. And everybody on both sides, like, nobody really seems choked up about this. You know what I mean? Like, there's nobody in the Oniwabanshu that's like, wait, Fukurokuju, but we pledge allegiance to Orochi. Like, no one is making that argument, because everybody knew, like, you had to expect this at some point, whether it been a Kaido or an enemy like Zoro or Hiyori, or, you know, like maybe one of your own Mimawari Gumi cut him down. You knew Orochi was gonna get his head sliced off at some point, the way he acted, right? Okay, so it's like, whatever, it happened. It's like when Joffrey died in Game of Thrones. It's like, yeah, someone had to do that at some point. That was a train that was gonna hit a mountain, and we just, oh, there you go, it hit the mountain last chapter. Okay, so yeah, actually, you know, the one person that's the most upset by everybody is freaking Hyo, because Hyo, yeah, he understands how horrible Orochi is, and it's actually because of Orochi. Think about this for a second. It's actually due to Orochi and Kaido that his wife died. Hyo's wife, during Odin's flashback. Remember her? Right? I don't think we got a name for her, but she died because of Orochi and Kaido. Probably mostly Orochi. And here's freaking Hyo there, about ready to rage and tackle the stage himself. He's like, those warriors, do they have no pride? And it's just like, dude, they're betraying the guy that killed your wife, but like Hyo has that ingrained in him, that like sense of like that samurai code and everything. So he's just like, you know, you pick a leader, you stay by that leader, you stay by and defend your shogun, and your shogun just got killed. And an outsider of all people, Kaido, someone that's not even from Wano, is basically declaring like martial law. He's just like, I own this place now, I'm gonna do whatever I want with it, join me or die. And none of the samurai, none of the ninja have enough of that honor that Hyo has to like stand up for their country. Maybe not Hyo is so upset about the death of Orochi, like they're betraying Orochi. He's upset over they're letting their country go. They're giving their country away to an outsider, Kaido, that's gonna have nothing but bad stuff in store for the place. He even said last chapter, he's just gonna turn it into a lawless zone for pirates to have a party. That's all he's gonna do with it, and build more weapon factories. So I think that's what more Hyo is upset by. He's just like, okay, they would just disregard their shogun that they swore allegiance to, but they're also just going to let their country be taken over, and they're just afraid. And Hyo is like, I don't know how old Hyo is. Hyo's looking pretty damn old. He's like pushing like 80 or something, and he's just like, you damn dragon duck, let me up there, I'm gonna kick his ass! You know, just like, Grandpa Hyo, stand down, not yet, not yet. And so, yeah, it was like, freaking Hyo, man, he's gonna kick some ass at some point here. We see Nami and Carrot, they are still captive. Big Mom just gives orders to the yokai, the homie yokai that she created, just like, you know, make sure they're restrained, you know, make sure they can't get away and stuff like that. Shinobu is still around. That was one thing I noticed. It's just like, hey, Shinobu wasn't captured last chapter, so where's she at? Well, being an expert ninja, a mature, sexy ninja, did a video about her this past week, she managed to escape, and she's like, I'm sorry, Onami, I'm sorry, Carrot, or whatever, but, you know, I got freed, so I'm gonna manage to, like, escape, and maybe we could figure out a way to get Momo out of here, okay? I can't help you right now, because we got other things to focus on, but, you know, so Shinobu is still around. Okay, cool. And Kaido's up there, another really dark moment where he's basically just like, man, the people of Wano on the mainland, they don't even know what's happening right now here. And we cut to a scene in the Flower Capital, because the Flower Capital at the Fire Festival is like the only time in all of Wano where the citizens can actually have fun. They can actually drink, and they actually be merry without danger of being reprised, or being like thrown off to Okabore Town, or being beaten up by the Mimawari Gumi or whatever. And so we cut to the freaking Flower Capital, and everyone's having a good time, like, Fire Festival time! Yeah! You gotta feel it tonight! You gotta cook it up tonight! Hold that spatula! And then freaking cut to Onigashima, where there's blood everywhere, the Shogun's dead, and Kaido's like, yeah, they better enjoy their last night of freedom. You know? Oh, man. I bet there's one sorry guy over in freaking the Flower Capital right now, and he's kind of toasty, and he's like, well, man, I wonder what's going on in Onigashima right now. Oh, you know Orochi and Kaido, they're probably having a crazy time. Like, yep, glug glug. Yeah, okay. So now we cut back to Momo. Remember, Momo is still there. He's still tied up to the freaking execution platform behind him, like the scaffold kind of thing, and Kaido really has no immediate interest in, like, executing him super quick or anything. He's not obsessed with the Kozukis as Orochi was. But he does look at Momo, and he's just like, you know what, kid? First off, it's weird seeing you, you know, because it's been 20 years, but you're still the same age. But you know what? It might just be the booze talking, but, if memory serves, you never answered my question 20 years ago. The question, of course, Kaido, back when he had, like, normal legs, was holding Momo over the castle balcony, and he was, like, clutching him by the neck, and he was just like, what is your name, child? And Momo was so freaked out, and he was so, traumatized by that moment, you know, he's like, I get it. So he never really answered it. And so here he says, you know what? I want you to answer my question, because I'll tell you what, if you are not the son of Kozuki Oden, then I got nothing to do with you. Okay? I will even I will even apologize. I will let you down off this execution platform. You just tell me what your name is. And I think Kaido knows that Momo is biologically Oden's son, but he's like, no. What is your name? If you give me any other name than Kozuki, then I will let you go, I'll even apologize, and I'll just shuffle you on your merry little way. And I won't do anything to you. If you do say you are a member of the Kozuki clan, you are Oden's son, well, execution is planned, I suppose, but this is your way out. And everybody in the crowd is just like, oh man, Kaido is so nice, he's letting him off with just a little white lie. Hey, come on, kid, give us a funny name. Here's the thing. Couple things you gotta keep in mind with Momo. Number one, the moment in between the last time Momo was being strangled out by Kaido and this moment right here, from Kaido's perspective, that's 20 years. From Momo's, that's only a few months, like maybe not even 6 months since that happened, okay? So Momo really hasn't developed that much. But he's met the Straw Hats since then, he's trained with Zoro, he's met a bunch of interesting people, he's seen the outside world, not the best parts of the outside world a lot of times, being captured by Caesar and everything, but he's seen the outside world, he got to go to Zou, got to commune with Zunisha for a little while, so he's definitely gotten a little bit of more, mentally strong, I feel, in that sense. But something else you gotta figure about Momo here is, quite literally, he could just lie. Because I just don't feel like Kaido would go back on his word on this. I think Kaido, he sees this sniveling child, this 8-year-old child, beaten up by Kanjuro, tied up to this execution platform, and he's like, you know what? You're just a little crybaby. If you want to tell me your name is just Taro Macanassi or whatever, I took that from Hunter x Hunter there, part of it. It's just like, your name's Taro Macanassi. All right, Taro, go back home. All right, that's great. I really do genuinely think Kaido is not going to, go back on his word. Like, oh, all right, your name's Taro. Okay. I don't think he's going to do that. It's like, you know what? You're not carrying the legacy of Oden. You don't have it in your eyes. You're trembling. You're crying like a baby. Just get out of here. You're no threat to me. But if he would have just lied and just, said his name was whatever, they would have let him go. And he still would have probably been rescued. Because this is his perfect way out. Because there's a samurai. Because Kaido doesn't know that there's samurai infiltrating the hallway. So the second that he, okay, your name's Taro, and then lets him down and, just, all right, you're free to go. There's a bunch of these samurai all over that are going to rescue him. But does Momo do that? Well, we cut over to Luffy and Yamato very briefly. We cut over to them. They're running through the hallways. We see Who's Who, by the way, and Ulti as well. They're also trying to make their way to the stage because they heard that's where Yamato was. That's with Straw Hat Luffy. We have to find Yamato. He's right there. I'm like, okay, cool. We cut back over to Yamato and Luffy, and Yamato is like, okay, we got to get to the stage and everything. And Luffy's like, yeah, okay, but don't you want to take these cuffs off? And Yamato's like, yeah. I'm assuming they're probably not explosive. I'm thinking that my dad probably just lied about that to keep me around, but just to be safe, when you take these cuffs off, if you can, make sure to throw them a distance away, just on the off chance they might detonate. And Luffy's like, oh, okay, sure. And Luffy actually, he closes his eyes, takes a deep breath, and is like, and he succeeds, and he rips off the freaking cuffs, and he chucks them away, and he does the exact same thing he did at the Udon prison with the collar, and the exact same thing that Rayleigh did at the auction house, ripping off Kami's explosive collar that she had put on her, okay? So do you know what this means, ladies and gentlemen? Do you know what this means? That's right! By anime power scaling logic, Rayleigh and Luffy are on the same level. Because you understand that if Rayleigh did something that Luffy did, then therefore, they could do the same thing, they are just equally as strong. It's kind of like how in Dragon Ball Z, we know that Goku is insanely powerful, and he's got Ultra Instinct and all that stuff, right? Well, Goku can use a Kamehameha. Who else can use a Kamehameha? That's right, Yamcha can use the Kamehameha, meaning that they can both use the same technique. Yamcha is every bit as capable as Goku. Same thing with Krillin, although we already knew that. No, of course, Luffy's not anywhere near that, but it seems like, with relative calm, and not super calm, because they're running through the damn hallway, they're trying to evade attacks and stuff, Luffy's able to, see the collar, and then do that. Alright, so Luffy takes them off, rips them off of Yamato, and throws them away. That must be a relief to Yamato, I would gather, having those freaking handcuffs on you for 20 damn years, 20 years, you gotta shower with them, you gotta sleep with them. My God, that would suck. I just went for a walk this morning, around my town, and I have my little, little smartwatch Fitbit thing on me, and I get back, and I'm running, I walked 2 miles, take it off, and it's my wrist is all sweaty. Imagine that! Imagine your wrist being that sweaty for 20 years. It'd be all raw and stuff, and the skin would be all calloused. Seriously, Yamato's wrist would just be 2 giant calluses. That's all they would be, just at that point, Oh man, but anyway, that's a relief. Yamato's got those off now, so he could fight. Awesome. We cut over to some other scenes like Ulti and Who's Who very briefly. We don't get to see Page 1, so I don't know where Page 1 went to. We don't see Ulti with Page 1. Might be with his sister, but we don't see him. We also see the Brachio tank now converted into the lower half of the Frankie Shogun that Chopper and Usopp are still piloting, and they're like, we're gonna get there, we have to get to the stage to rescue Momo, and, Chopper's like, oh, but there's people that are gonna attack us, and Usopp's like, trust in the body of the Frankie Shogun. And so they're awkwardly running their way toward there. We see Kawamatsu and the Scabbard slice through a bunch of the guards trying to get from the back entrance. Then we see Law, Kid, and Zoro. They're in their respective fights. We only get to see one scene of each, but they're all kind of got beaten up. Remember, Zoro was going up against like 3 or 4 of those bug gifters a couple chapters ago, like that rhinoceros beetle and the stag beetle and the praying mantis, the hot praying mantis lady. So I guess Zoro cuts them down, and then you got Kid there. He's all covered with blood. It's like, ha ha! And you could feel this building. You could feel this coming. It's just like, okay. So now we cut back over to Momo, where he thinks about everything that's happened to him in the last few months for him. You know, he remembers his mother and, you know, his sister that he didn't get to meet. Is like, oh, I wanted to meet Hiyori one more time. He remembers the Straw Hats and Luffy. Like, Luffy's like, I'm gonna be king of the high pirates. You gotta get stronger, Momo. You gotta get stronger. And Momo's there, and he finally decides. He's crying, he's bawling, but he composes himself, and he's like, I am Kozuki Momonosuke! I am going to be king of the I'm going to be Shogun of Wano! And so he yells that to the whole crowd. I am the man who will be Shogun of Wano! Shogun Orewanar, you know, I guess. And everybody in the crowd is just like, really? Wow, that kid, man, he actually said it. And Kaido is even kind of taken aback by that. Kaido is just kind of like, huh? And so the whole crowd eventually just breaks out into laughter, like, that stupid kid! Oh, well, he's dead. You know, like, okay, that's what's gonna go down. And then Momo starts breaking down crying, and he's like, man, I wish I could see Hiyori, and I wish I couldn't be crying right now, but I am, but I said what I needed to say. And then Kaido's like, oh, all right, well, I gave you the offer. And he picks up his kanabo, his spiked kanabo, and then before anything could go further than that, bam! The freaking lower portion of the hall just explodes. Like 10 tons of TNT, just bam! Just explodes, giant hole in the wall, directly, I think, underneath the stage, like the balcony, the stage, the execution platform, that's way up there. So the lower half just blows, and Big Mom's right next to it, and then Yamato and Luffy just jump out of the hole. Yamato is crying, like, holy crap, those things were actually explosive? What the hell, Dad? What the actual hell? I'm gonna kick your ass! He calls him like a cow gorilla demon, you know, just like, what the actual... Dad? You know, they were actually explosive? And these things, by the way, packed way more of a punch than the slave collars we saw at Sabaody. So if you thought, like, they were the same level of explosive that would just kill a normal human, oh, you are wrong. These things, like, leveled, like, these are, like, demolition-level explosives used to, like, destroy an entire building or structure. Like, this explosion is big. Like, you know, given how strong Yamato is, son of Kaido, all that crap, you know, might not have necessarily killed him, but blown off his arms, most definitely, that would have happened without question. Luffy and Yamato get sent flying, and they land in the hallway, and then they're all like, oh, it's Yamato and Straw Hat Luffy! And Luffy gets up, and he's like, oh, well... okay, we made it to the hall. Fight's getting started, but we gotta get there because we're still on the bottom. They're all the way up there. And so, at the same time that happened, big explosion, Luffy and Yamato jump out, but at the same time, Kaido doesn't really have a lot of time to worry about them down here because that hallway that they entered in the back, that rear entrance of Onigashima, guess where that freaking thing leads? That leads straight to the back of the damn balcony. So they're heading straight for Kaido. All of the scabbards, they're rushing straight for him. Kaido senses their presence, and you have the Calamities there, King and Queen. Queen's doing the, you know, the bug eye thing, like, where did they come from? Jack's like, oh crap, those are those King Minks, they're still alive. Oh, damn. You know, Jack's having war flashbacks to the 5 days he had to fight Neko and Inu straight back to back. He's like, oh crap, they're still alive. And so King goes to take out his sword, which by the way was the same sword last chapter that Kaido used to behead Orochi. Forgot about that. And by the way, yeah, we don't get any more updates on Orochi. We see his head still lying there. So at the very least, it's not like a drawing created by Kanjuro. And Kanjuro's unconscious or dead now anyway. So it's not like a copy that Kanjuro created. It's either he might grow another head because of the fruit, it might be a body double, or he might just be straight up dead. And Shinobu even had a line in this chapter where it's like, you know, Oden knew it best. You know, cutting down Orochi would change nothing. Kaido is the one that truly rules all of Wano. Anybody with 2 brain cells to rub together in Wano could have figured that out, though. Who rules this place, really? Orochi up there like, I am Lord Orochi, I want my feet rubbed! Or is it the giant dragon god that just comes on down from from the heavens every once a month to drink. It's the Dragon God, okay? That's the one who really calls the shots around here, right? So, yeah, I mean, Orochi, I don't think he's dead, but he very well might be. It's not going to really change anything in the grand scheme, you know what I mean? It's not like we were really... I mean, I was kind of waiting to see who would cut down Orochi, you know, Zoro, Hiyori, how that would... Momo, how that would go, but whatever. Anyway, so... Whew, this is intense. This is like getting into bullet time here, okay? Where the Calamities, they move to attack. King goes to take out his sword. Izo takes out his flintlock. Kalik knocks freaking King's sword. Excuse me, I burped. Knocked freaking King's sword, bing, right out of his hand. And then the other scabbards all get ready. Raizo readies his ninjutsu. Kawamatsu takes out Satsumo. Kiku takes out her blades. Inuarashi takes out his mighty sword and his mighty peg leg. Freaking Nekomamushi knocks Kaido's Kanabo, bam, right out of his hand. Kaido's just like, you know, Thunderbolt, no you don't! Knocks the freaking Kanabo right out of Kaido's hands. Ashura Doji just kind of gets his head vein popping. You know, just get one little scene of Ashura Doji, he's popping the head vein. You know, he's getting ready for that. And then you get a scene with Denjiro striking his rage mode face. Kinemon's there, and they're like, be like children. Surrender yourselves to the moment. Put your life into this attack. And every single one of the scabbards, Kinemon, Denjiro, Kawamatsu, Nekomamushi, Inuarashi, Okiku, Izo, Ashura Doji, Raizo, they all jump and they all scream, Tsunachi! And they go to attack Kaido. End of the chapter. Kaido's like, as if your swords will hurt me. And then they jump, and they're like, they remember Odin as Odin charged at, you know, Kaido all those years ago, or all those months ago to them. He's like, never come back to Wano, Kaido. Same thing that they say there here. It's like, let's bring it on. So they attack Kaido, and it's like, it's a raid. And so the last scene is, Kaido, there's a lot of stuff going on here, a lot of stuff. But to break this down, first thing, Kaido falls behind the balcony. They push him back enough. Kaido breaks through the banister, and he's gonna fall next chapter. Unless he does something to catch himself or he turns into a dragon, he's gonna fall straight down into the crowd right next to Big Mom, which is also right next to where Luffy and Yamato are, okay? That's gonna happen next chapter. By the way, no break, right? No break. Next chapter, August 10th. Yeah, no break. So he's gonna fall straight down, okay? Okay. Denjiro and Kinemon are seemingly the only samurai, at least in this panel right away, that managed to have their blades at least pierce into Kaido. We don't actually get to see the wound, but we see their swords driven into Kaido. It's always possible Kaido could have thrown up his advanced armament and their swords might have not have been able to pierce it, but they were using haki too, most likely, and Denjiro had his like, full rage mode face on, like, Kaido! And I'm pretty sure they poured their heart and souls into this attack. Neko knocked the Kanabo out, but freaking Kaido grabs his hand, and it looks like he's like going to grab Neko. Now, it might just be the angle there, like the Kanabo flew out and the hand is like in front of Neko, or the hand might be like pushing Neko back. Ashura Doji's further back. Some of the other scabbards don't seem to be trying to go directly after Kaido, because off to the side, it looks like Kawamatsu and, Izo. Kawamatsu and Izo, because King is right there. Like, 3 of the Calamities plus Kaido are all kind of grouped together. So King is right off to the side about to attack. So I think it's like Izo fires the gun, knocks the sword out of King's hand, and then Kawamatsu goes to knock back King. And so then you have Raizo and Okiku that are also further in the back. But they're also jumping to attack as well. And Inuarashi is there knocking back, I think, on the other side, knocking back Queen or Jack or whoever's there. A lot of stuff going on in the panel. But they managed to knock the Kaido down off the balcony. They managed to land at least two hits on Kaido right out of the gate. And this is the moment where everybody in the hall realizes this is all out war. This is a raid. Okay, they even say, time to stop drinking, time to get a fighting, you know, the time to get moving. So they're all ready for a battle. And yeah, I was thinking about like who was gonna get the first hit out on Kaido, and I was imagining Luffy like jumping in, like it just, you know, Kaido, bam, and just getting the first hit out on Kaido out of nowhere, but I think the Scabbards kind of deserve this. I think the Scabbards kind of deserve to get first blood, you know what I mean, considering all that. Like, this is their battle. Luffy has a vendetta against Kaido. Luffy wants to, you know, beat down Kaido for beating him down that one time, and of course, you know, Kaido's ruined Wano for Tama and everybody, so Luffy has a reason, but the Scabbards kind of got here first. They have way more of a reason to beat down Kaido, so I'm glad they got the first hits. So, I'm thinking that next chapter, some of the Scabbards might stay up on the balcony, others might fall down with Kaido. Kaido might grab some of them and drag them down the balcony with him. I'm thinking Denjiro and Kinemon's swords did pierce his flesh, maybe, or if you want to stay with that logic of like, you know, oh, Odin was the only person able to cut him, so he didn't get cut at all. Or maybe if they did pierce his skin, it was barely anything, so not even like barely a trickle of blood, if that. That might actually very well be the case, because it's set up like Kaido is really, really, really ridiculously hard to hit, or hard to injure, okay? But that was a very emotional moment, so if you want to have Kinemon and Denjiro's swords pierce him a little bit and draw some blood, I would be okay with that in that particular instance, because they've really been psyching themselves up for this moment. Denjiro's been waiting for this moment for like 20 straight years. Denjiro wasn't the one to cut down Orochi, but still. Oh, man. Such a damn good chapter. Such a good one. I know there was a lot of hullabaloo these past few weeks because of Oda's editor that came out and said, I cried at the next chapter. This might have not have been the chapter he was referring to. It might have also been referring to chapter 987, because Oda obviously draws these chapters in advance. It's not like, you know, it's not like he just finished drawing 986 yesterday and he released it, you know, or anything like that. No, that's not how this works. But, you know, so maybe it's next chapter. 987 was the chapter that purportedly made Oda's editor cry. So I guess we'll see what happens to that. Who knows? Maybe Momo will die. That would be a thing. But I guess we'll see. But yeah, really intense chapter. And then I think, you know, Kaido, if he does fall down, he's gonna land right next to Yamato and Luffy, and then they're gonna pick it up. Luffy and Yamato might get an attack in until Kaido just decides, enough of this! And then just turns into a dragon, like, just turns into a dragon and just erupts through the freaking ceiling and just Boro breaths the entire exhibition hall. And they're like, Lord Kaido, no! You know, and it's like, so it might be something like that. We'll see where this goes, but next chapter is going to be insane. The battle is straight up on. It's a raid, it's a war, and everybody knows about it now. We're kind of done with the stealthy, sneaky, tying people up like Sasaki in the background or whatever. Like, we're getting to the serious brawl here. All right. Well, yeah, and I hope Nami and Carrot can take advantage of the moment and escape the yokai. They can get away and help out as well. The Minks are there. They're going to get some revenge against Jack. Oh, man, this is going to be beautiful. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking101 signing out. To battle, men! Huh!